talk, do a final cut actually on the regression, multivariable regression. And this is basically what an output would look like from doing analysis. And what you see on the left-hand side is that would be the actual constant B0, which is the intercept. And then you'd have the variables that you're looking at and their coefficients. And the next column over is actually the coefficient, and then you have t-statistic, and you have p-value, and then the interpretation of what you're actually looking at. And basically, so when you look at the coefficients and then you look at the t-statistic, what you're looking for is you want the t-statistic to be as high as possible, and then the p-value to be as low as possible. So if you look at xb1 that has a coefficient of 0.5, the t-statistic is actually 3.5, which is really good. It's actually higher than, obviously, it's a lot higher than 102. And the p-value is really small. And what that implies is that the coefficient most likely is not a zero, that it's either greater than zero, maybe less than zero. Right? And that's really, really important because that's what you're trying to figure out with these coefficients. Because if they're basically zero or very, very, very close to being zero, there's probably no significance to that variable that's being used to actually regress. And so that when you look at the last variable, xb3, which has a coefficient of 0.1, but its t-statistic is actually 0.9, and the p-value is actually quite high, 0.38. That means that that variable is not really adding a whole lot of significance to the regression analysis. And so most likely you can actually drop that one and just use the other ones. And again, very typical. And again, you can get into a lot more detail, especially around t-stats, which is actually measured by actually taking the coefficient, and that's the estimated coefficient, divided by the standard error. But either way, I just wanted to give you a flavor. And again, very important. This is a really important model that's used quite a bit on doing analysis, especially when you're looking at different indexes, like I mentioned before, and trying to maybe duplicate that, something that you know you'd love to maybe use as a way to copy, basically, somebody else's strategy.